It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is September 23rd, 2021, and today, the topic is liberal versus conservative Christianity. Oh, Lord. Yes, liberal versus conservative Christianity. Long story short, y'all know I'm in America, those of y'all that know already. And this is an ongoing subject, ongoing thing. It's, people make it their way of life. It's just this whole thing, this idea of being liberal versus conservative, the right versus the left, the red versus the blue, however you want to see it. Yeah, I might as well go ahead and say the Republicans versus the Democrats. I mean, it just goes on, right? It goes on and on and on. And because of freedom of speech, I've seen a lot of things out there, right? A lot of things that people with their blogs and whatnot, I guess proclaiming what they feel like Jesus would be doing in this season, and how one group is not as good as the other group, and vice versa, and all these different things. And so, now I did wake up at, let me see what it was, like 3:43, and that led me to some interesting verses this morning. So I thought I might be talking about that, but this came to my mind yesterday, actually, and I said to myself, I just was like, okay, if I think of this tomorrow, as when I wake up, then I'll look into it. Well, it did come back to my mind this morning, and so I decided to just look into it. And as I was looking into it, I decided to go deeper, and then here we are. Here we are talking about this subject of liberal versus conservative Christianity. Now, if you are looking for me to tell you which one is right, or whatever the case is, then this might not be the podcast for that. I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't know. We'll see what the Lord say and do, because obviously every morning I pray that He says whatever He wants to say through me. But I think the more I was looking up this morning, and the more that I was going deeper and looking into what the Bible had to say and definitions and all these different things, there was only a couple of verses that I felt led to share. And then honestly, the rest of it, I feel like is on you as an individual to determine what the will of God is based on Bible. And so, for me, again, I do think that you can see clearly. I guess if you're a Bible believer, Bible reader, then you may be able to see in the season, like, what side leans more towards biblical values than the other, or vice versa. I don't know. Because people, honestly, to be honest, you can find, verses that will reflect both sides of the coin and whatnot. And so, it depends, depending on the context that you use the verses and everything. You might be able to defend your idea or whatnot, right? So, so for me to sit here and be like, yes, this side is right, or yes, that side is right, or whatever the case is, would make me no different than any of these other people that are out here talking about what they feel like Jesus would be doing right now, and what they believe is, I guess, the correct way to live, and the correct way to handle other people, and just all these different things that people are constantly debating about. So, for me, I just felt led to more so focus on what these words mean, because I spent a lot of time defining a lot of different words. So that was one thing. And then I did find verses that to me are very clear, but again, for me to sit here and read them to you and be like, see, again, would make me no different from anybody else or whatever. So I think what I would like to do, and again, we'll see what the Lord do, but I'm thinking that what I'm going to do is share with you all what I came across in regards to when I went deeper to find, find out what things mean and everything like that, and then give you all something to go off of, and for you to go and do your own, as they say, research and look into this stuff yourself. Because at the end of the day, if nothing else, if you don't receive anything else from this juice this morning, I hope that you understand and see that it is definitely very, very important for us to read the Bible for ourselves, for us to get into the Word, see what it has to say, and then perhaps, that would give some clarity to the things that we find to be confusing in this season and just in life and everything in general. So let's get into it. Liberal versus conservative Christianity. Okay. So the first thing I did this morning when attacking this idea is to look up words, right? So I looked up the word liberal and conservative. I looked up the word conservative as well. Now, okay, I'm gonna show you the definitions, and then I'm just gonna let them marinate before I say any commentary. So when I looked up the word liberal, the definition I came across says willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from own, open to new ideas. Okay. The definition of conservative, when I looked it up this morning, says averse to change or innovation and holding traditional values. So if I just stop right there for a moment, I don't know what y'all heard when y'all heard that. But to me, when I was reading that this morning, I just was like, it's very interesting, the word choices here. That to me, it was very interesting, the words that were used to define these words. It made me want to go deeper, obviously, when you hear the words, you're like, oh yes, I know what these words mean. This makes sense to me. I understand the definitions. However, I just think it's very important to again, go deeper and look into stuff because, again, I just found it to be very interesting, the word choices that was used. And it does seem to be leaning one way versus another. Just the definitions. Not even getting into nothing else. Just the definition of liberal versus conservative. I found that to be very interesting. So I went deeper. I ended up looking up the word respect, because you see the word liberal, it said willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from own, open to new ideas, right? So I looked up the word respect, and the word respect the word respect says a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something. That was the word respect. I believe that was like the second definition for the word respect. A feeling of deep admiration for someone or something. I just said to myself, okay. So when I go back to the word liberal, right? Willing to respect. So willing to, I guess, have a deep feeling of admiration for someone or something. Okay. I have understanding of that. I just thought it was very interesting. Again, the word choice. Now, the second word that was used in the definition of liberal said to accept. Okay. Now, again, that don't sound bad. Sounds good to me. Respect and accept. Both of these words, nothing's wrong with these words. I just felt like it was interesting to define the word liberal. But let's go. Let's see what it says. So the word accept, the second definition says believe or come to recognize an opinion, explanation as valid or correct. Believe or come to recognize an opinion or explanation as valid or correct. So liberal, just going off of these definitions here, it's saying liberal is willing to respect, which is to admire someone or something, deep admiration, right? Or accept, come to recognize as valid or correct. So And then what are we coming to do that with? Behavior or opinions different from own, open to new ideas. Okay. Again, I found this to be interesting. I found it to be very interesting for a lot of different reasons. But I feel like this is where some of the issue comes in. Because for some reason, right, with this idea of liberal, just the word, just the definition, not even talking about nothing else, just the definition alone is painting a certain picture. It's painting the picture of respecting and accepting behaviors that are different from our own and being open to new ideas. All these things sounds great. It does. It sounds wonderful. But let's talk about conservative. Let's talk about that word real quick. So again, it said what the definition it just literally says: averse to change or innovation, holding traditional values. Okay. It doesn't sound as light as liberal does. It don't sound that light. It sounds kind of heavy, sounds kind of dark, And I'm like, okay, let's look up these words. Let's look at these words. So when I look up the word adverse, that word says strong dislike or opposition to something. I said, oh, okay. So according to the definition, it's saying strong dislike or opposition to change. That's literally what the definition is saying when it uses the word adverse. So it's saying the word conservative, just the word. Now, I ain't talking about the people and nothing like that. I'm talking about the word that it's saying. It's the word, the definition of conservative says strong dislike or opposition to change. Okay, that don't sound too good, right? That don't sound great at all. That sounds kind of bad, right? Okay, and let's keep on going, right? And then it goes to change or innovation, and then it says and holding traditional values. And so I said, okay, well let's look up. I know I got a good idea what traditional means, but hey, let's go into values real quick. Let me just see, right? And so I ended up looking up the word value, and the second here says a person's principle or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. Okay. Now, again, I just found these definitions to be very, very interesting. It does, if I don't know if you see in here, but it does kind of weigh one a little bit more than the other. It makes one sound more great than the other. It sounds, if you just go to this and you're just looking up definitions, if you're somebody that really truly have no idea of what these words mean and you look it up, then you would think to yourself, one sounds better than the other one, and this is what I want to go with, right? And that's cool. Like, at the end of the day, hey, you are free to do whatever you want to do. The word, Bible, God was very clear about giving us all free will in this aspect. However, as I shared, the topic for today is liberal versus conservative Christianity. So I define Christianity as well, just to make sure we know what it means, right? Just to make sure we know what it means. So the definition of Christianity said the religion based on the person and teachings of Jesus of Nazareth or its belief and practices. Okay. So again, all these things were very interesting to me this morning because at the end of the day, again, when you hear these debates, you see this ongoing battle, if you will, of what would Jesus do in this season, what side would Jesus be on? You know what I'm saying? One side say he'll be on our side and doing this and that, and the other side is like he'll be on our side doing this and that. And so what do you do, right? If you're somebody that is new to the faith and all this, and you're like, okay, I'm hearing all these different things, more than likely, then you're probably going to go with whatever you personally think. This is just again, just being in general. If I'm somebody brand new and I'm trying to figure out this whole Christianity thing and this whole what's going on between these different opinions that I'm hearing, then I would probably go with unless I was reading the Word and I was willing to do what the Word said. So that's another thing that we have to keep in mind. So unless I'm a Bible reader and I'm reading what the Bible says and I'm living according to that, I would just go off of whatever I thought, right, and then go with that. Just saying, if I was approaching this idea as a new person with no background, if it just brand new and all that, right? So this is just my idea of what I think a person would do. Again, this is just me and my little thoughts here, trying to make some sense of all this. So, okay. So I guess, again, this is why it's important for us to read the Bible for ourselves and to not lean on our understanding and see what the Word has to say. And that's what I was doing this morning. So I went deeper. I looked up a lot. There was a lot of things I came across, a lot of verses. And it was interesting. It was very, very interesting. But there was only a couple that I felt led to share in this moment of the juice. So the first one is Romans 14:1, and it says, "As for the one who is weak in faith, welcome him, but not to quarrel over opinions." I mean, hey, I don't know how many people feel like they are living in I just don't see many people doing this on either side. Right, and I'm saying either side to be fair. I'm just saying that to be fair. I don't, and I'm not saying that no one does this. Now, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that when you hear these different ideas and these different things being debated and all this different stuff, or when you see the blogs that people write and just all these different things, you don't necessarily see this idea of, not quarreling over opinions, right? You more so see, why aren't you believing what I believe? What's wrong with you all? What kind of Jesus are you serving? And vice versa. So yeah, that was the first verse I came across this morning that I felt led to share. So that's that one. And then the second one is Romans 12:2. It says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." So again, if we want to get an understanding of which side, if we gotta feel like we gotta be on a side, right? Because to a certain extent, yeah, we are being asked to choose a side to a certain extent, right? And so, when it comes to where we vote and just all these different things, we're asked to be on a certain side, or we're asked to vote a certain way, or whatever the case is, and because here in America, at least at the moment, we'll see, but as far as we know, right, we have freedom, right, to choose and all those different things. And so, because of that, it behooves us to see, like, what values line up with ours and all these different things, right, and go with that group, or whatever the case is, weighing things, I would say let God lead us into what decisions to make and choices, and when it comes to everything. I'm not just talking about voting, but when it comes to everything, right? How we live, what we do, all those different things. And so but unfortunately, what we witness is the opposite, right? We witness people being conformed to this world. We witness letting the world transform our minds, and we witness not including God in any of this in order to figure out His will and what's acceptable and perfect in His eyes. We're leaning towards our own idea of what those things mean in our own hearts and minds and eyes, or whatever you want to say. So And I think, again, there's wherein lies some of the issues here. So what do we do? What do we do? Which side is right? And all those questions. Again, there's so many questions I had this morning as I was reading and as I was trying to get some understanding about all of this. And I guess I would just say at this point, friends, family, believers in Christ, Bible readers, it would behoove us to get into the Word and see what it has to say and go by that. Some things are inevitable, so it's not like, this is all part of God's plan and everything like that. And so some things may not make sense and all these different things, and again, something may sound very great and compared to the opposite thing, and depending on where you are and your beliefs and all these different things, it's like, oh well, I believe this or I believe that. And hey, you can have your own opinions about all things, yes. However, when it comes to God's will and all these different things, I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of what side of the coin you're on, what we need to see is that the Bible is very clear about us all being one, right? We all have that free will. We all were given the gift and the grace and mercy of salvation. We are all welcome, regardless of race, regardless of gender, any of these things, y'all, any of these things. And so if you truly want to know, God's will, right? If you truly want to know what the Word has to say about this, and in order for you to make a sound decision, then I would behoove you to get into the Word of God. So I'm not going. What I'm going to do in this moment is I'm going to share what I call the Go Deeper section. Basically every day, I don't know if you all know or not, but every day when I post these, I post not only verses that I share through here, what I call the supporting verses. I post those in a text form in the information sections of these, but I also post another section where I call Go Deeper, which are things that I read this morning to help me get a better idea of some of the supporting verses or whatever. So today I'm going to share the Go Deeper section, not all the verses. I'm just going to share what they are and where they are, and you guys can just go and read them yourself. Because at the end of the day, I can read them all day and tell you, and then you be like, oh, you're just saying something. Oh, no. So I believe that if you truly are ready to go deeper, then you'll read these verses on your own, and then pray and see what God tells you about this idea of liberal and conservative Christianity. So, get your pens and papers, y'all. Get your pens and papers. Here we go. Here's the Go Deeper section for today. They are typed out, again, at the bottom of the videos or whatnot. If you're listening to the podcast, it should be in the section where it has words. But if not, here's the Go Deeper section for today. And I hope that you guys let it marinate on your hearts, souls, and minds. All right. So check out Colossians 2:8. Colossians 2:8. Also check out 2 Thessalonians 2:15. 2 Thessalonians 2:15. The next one is 1 Corinthians 11:2. 1 Corinthians 11:2. Next, check out 2 Thessalonians 3:6. 2 Thessalonians 3:6. And last but not least, if you can and will, check out 2 Timothy 4:3 through 4. 2 Timothy 4, 3 through 4. If you guys check those out, again, let them marinate on your hearts, souls, and minds today. Hopefully it'll help us get some understanding about all of this. And, that's the juice, y'all. That's the juice. Now, the Bible verse of today is Psalm 34 and 8. It says, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. Oh, what's today? Today's Thursday, right? Today's Thursday, right? Yes, that means that tomorrow's Friday, and that means that I am going to be having a new episode of God, Sex, and Love Talk Show. I'm going to actually be going live tomorrow. Yes, so it'll be a live episode of God, Sex, and Love. Unfortunately, I forgot the gentleman's name. I know it's Branch. I don't want to say his last name wrong. So, Mr. Branch, I'm going to be chit-chatting with Mr. Branch tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Facebook and YouTube. It will be GSL Live, y'all, with Mr. Branch. He's an author. You guys may have seen his posts or the flyers on our pages, on our different platforms. So that's the gentleman that I'm going to be chit-chatting with tomorrow, if the Lord's will. But until then, I guess I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Hello, charmers. Visit ttcboutique.com for the latest in fashion and accessories. Twice the charm, the source of women clothing.